So, guys, the 30% tariffs that the Trump administration has slapped South Africa with will come into effect in 2 days. I know that the comrades are saying we will do everything in our power to protect the jobs, but honestly, in my opinion, I don't see how the comrades are going to protect their jobs on this one. And I'm quite concerned about average South Africans that are going to be impacted by these tariffs because they are going to impact average South Africans. I mean, if you go on social media, you will see there are people that are pushing the narrative saying that you see these Afrikaners that went to the United States are the ones that are going to suffer because these people are the farmers. But what people don't talk about are the people that are working for the farmers. So who are the people that are working for the farmers, and how much are these tariffs actually going to impact those people? And this is a conversation that I don't see many people having. And again, when it comes to the mainstream media, I don't know why this story is so underreported, whereas many people's livelihoods are on the line. I don't know why the mainstream media is not actually explaining these things to South Africans in a manner that South Africans can actually understand so that they can see the mess that we are headed to. So I want us to actually go through this article, guys. This is an article that was released by the Daily Maverick a couple of days ago. And this article talks about what we are talking about. So okay. It says that the US will impose 30% tariffs on South Africa from the 7th of August, the Trump administration announced last Thursday night. The South African government says it will act decisively to protect the jobs. Hours before the US President Donald Trump announced 30% tariffs on South Africa, which will come into effect on the 7th of August rather than the 1st of August as initially expected, South Africa announced urgent interventions to support exporters impacted by the tariffs. Quote, the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition has announced a set of measures in response to the imminent 30% tariffs hike on South Africa's exports to the United States, which comes into effect on the 1st of August. Guys, these things were supposed to come into effect on the 1st of August, but now they will come into effect on the 7th of August in 2 days. Quote, these urgent interventions are part of the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition's ongoing commitment to protecting jobs, preserving market access to the United States, and promoting export diversification to alternative markets in Africa, the European Union, Asia, Latin America, and other strategic partners. Trade and Industry Minister Park Stau said in a statement last Thursday on the 31st of July. Key amongst the interventions, Tau said, was the establishment of an export support desk, which would serve as a direct point of contact for companies affected by the US tariff hike. Quote, the desk will provide updates on the developments and tailored advisory services to exporters on alternative destinations, guidance on market entry processes, insights into the compliance requirements, and linkages to South African embassies and high commissions abroad. So this is what the Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition, and you can see that South Africa, they have actually given up on the idea of talking with the United States because they're saying they're looking into the European Union, they're looking into Asia, Latin America, and other strategic partners. So they're saying that, okay, if this is what the US is going to do to us, then we actually don't have to trade with these people because we don't think we are trading much with these people. So we will have to move our goods to European Union, Asia, Latin America, and other strategic partners. But however, the government is acknowledging that many people might actually lose their jobs. Many people are going to bleed their jobs. And it is said, and again, this is the fault of the mainstream media because they are the ones that are supposed to be letting people know that, guys, there is a wave that is coming, and this wave is going to wipe a lot of jobs. I don't think that job has actually been done by the mainstream media. Can you just imagine, guys? The Department of Trade, Industry and Competition says 30,000 jobs are at risk from the Trump's tariffs. 30,000 jobs are at risk. And guys, we are living in a country where people are already unemployed. Millions and millions of South Africans are unemployed. I don't even want to talk about the youth unemployment. Many people are roaming around the streets doing nothing. Young people are standing in the corners, drinking, turning into drug addicts because there are no jobs in this country. And now we are learning that more people might actually lose their jobs. More and more people might actually lose their jobs. So the Trade and Industry Minister Pakstau said his department would be sharing a set of more detailed proposals on SA's tariff response package with the cabinet later this week. The United States President Donald Trump's tariffs on South Africa could put about 30,000 jobs at risk, officials from the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition said on Monday, the 4th of August 2025. Quote, "We've based this on the ongoing consultations that we have with all the sectors of the economy, from automotive, agriculture, and other sectors that are going to be impacted. And at this stage, we are sitting at approximately 30,000 jobs that could be affected by this if it were to be mismanaged in any manner," the Department Director General Simpiwe Hamilton told the reporters. Hamilton, along with the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition Minister Pakstau, Department of International Relations and Corporations Minister Ronald Lamola, and Director General Zane Dengo briefed the media on South Africa's response to the US tariffs in Johannesburg. So last Thursday, Trump signed an executive order placing new tariffs on dozens of countries hours before the 1st of August deadline he had set for deals to be made. Some countries received modified tariff rates, while South Africa remained at the 30% previously proposed by the United States. I mean, like, guys, when it comes to this, we know that the United States is still mad at South Africa. The United States are not happy about the South Africa taking Israel to the International Court of Justice, and I actually think this actually has a lot to do with that. I hear the response from the government saying that no, we are preparing a package, we are trying to negotiate with the Americans, but honestly, I don't think this actually has anything to do with that. I think this actually has to do with the fact that we took Israel. These people, man, Ramaphosa and his people, they took Israel to the International Court of Justice. These people are friends with Hamas. These people are friendly with Iran. I think all of these things, they come into the play when it comes to these tariffs. So the tariffs are expected to come into effect at 12:01 a.m. on the 8th of August, according to Lamola. In response, President Cyril Ramaphosa announced on Friday that Pretoria was preparing a package to support companies that were vulnerable to the U.S. tariffs, which included the formation of an expert support desk to support South African exporters set up by the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition. So there's a mess that is happening, guys. There's a mess. So I know when it comes to this thing of the trade, when it comes to the tariffs, many people, man, I've heard many people saying that, guys, I don't understand what these tariffs are. What is it exactly are they speaking about? Because I turn on the news, I see people are speaking about the tariffs. I don't understand what these tariffs are. So, guys, I've actually made a small research so that this thing can be explained to us in layman's terms, so that we can understand how this thing is going to impact South Africans, how this thing is going to impact average South Africans that are working in these industries that are going to be hurt by these tariffs. So this is a small research so that we can get a simple basic understanding of what is happening right here. So it says that tariffs are taxes that a country puts on goods coming in from another country. In this case, the United States has imposed a 30% tariff on goods imported from South Africa. This means that for every $100 worth of South African products entering the US, an extra $30 is added, making those goods more expensive for American buyers. So we can already see where this is going. So what does this actually mean? Number one, it means that higher prices for South African goods in the United States. The tariffs make South African products cost more in the United States, so American companies or consumers might buy less of them or switch to cheaper alternatives from other countries. And number two, it says that less money for the South African exporters. If Americans buy fewer South African goods because they are more expensive, South African businesses makes less money. And number three, it is about the trade tension. The United States says these tariffs are to fix the unfair trade imbalances, claiming South Africa charges high tariffs on US goods. Though South Africa disputes this, saying their average tariff is only about 7.6%. This creates economic and diplomatic strain between the two countries. So, guys, this thing in simple terms is that when our products gets there, these people are going to put a huge tax on them. They are going to be expensive. So American companies and American people are going to buy less of them, meaning that South African businesses are going to make less money. And what does it mean? It means that people's salaries might actually get slashed, or people will be retrenched. And I think some of these companies will have to close down. Some of the companies will have to close down. So this is exactly what it means. That's why I am not in favor of that narrative of saying that, no, these African farmers are the ones that are only going to be impacted by this. Of course, they are going to be affected by this. But can we also, guys, look at the people that are working in these farms that are going to be affected? Can we look at the people that are working in these industries like the automobiles that are going to be impacted? And I think it is quite foolish of us, of some of us, to only focus on the people at the top. These people at the top, they will always be fine. But the people that are working for these companies, the people that are working for these industries, these are the people that are going to be hurt the most about these things. So I don't like this narrative that has been going around that is trying to pretend like only certain of people are going to be impacted. All people are going to be impacted by this. All people are going to be impacted by this. So, guys, the president has actually responded to this, and this is what Ramaphosa has said about these tariffs.
We put on the table a package which would deal with our trade relations with the United States that contained what we were offering and what we wanted them to offer.
And guys, so do you think that the United States is actually interested in this package that Ramaphosa is talking about, or the United States is actually interested in South Africa changing some of their positions that they have taken? I mean, the fact that these people are friends with the Hamas, of course, is going to rub the Americans wrong. And the fact that these are the same people that took Israel to the International Court of Justice, of course, that is going to rub the Americans wrong. And of course, of some of the policies like the expropriation policy. And again, what is it again that I'm forgetting? Do you think that the Americans are more interested in this package, or they are interested in South Africa changing their position? Because I don't think that there's anything that these people can propose to the Americans that is going to make them say yes. But if these people say that, guys, please, man, scrap those tariffs, then we will withdraw our case against Israel at the International Court of Justice. Then I think that the Americans can say, okay, you can come to the table. Let's talk. Let's talk. I don't think it has anything to do with what these people are talking about. But that is just my opinion. I could be totally wrong. I understand that I could be totally wrong. But I think this has to do with the positions that this country has taken and the rhetoric, the anti-American rhetoric that has been coming from the South African government. I think these are some of the things that are contribute to what is going to happen right now. I actually think so. I think so. But like I said, guys, I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong.
We put on the table a package which would deal with our trade relations with the United States that contained what we were offering and what we wanted them to offer us. And we wanted a number of trade items to be.
And again, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry, man. I think when it comes to this whole thing, I think, again, Ramaphosa sabotaged himself, man. You remember when Donald Trump released that post on social media, that famous bad things are happening in South Africa? I think the way the South African government responded to all of that, I mean, like, Ramaphosa, as the president of the country, man, was supposed to tell these people there in the government that, guys, we have the communication departments and we're going to communicate with these people. And instead of just allowing everybody to go out and started insulting the people that are helping you. And this is not the first time that we are suffering, guys. So remember even things like PEPFAR. The Minister of Health is going around, and people are suffering because of that. People are suffering because of that. And I think, again, these are just small things that have added into what we have been going through. I think so too, man. I think Ramaphosa has actually sabotaged himself. By the time he went to the United States, those people were not in the mood because of some of the insults that were already hurled at them. So by the time Ramaphosa goes to the United States, they have already made up their minds. They have already made up their minds.
We put on the table a package which would deal with our trade relations with the United States that contained what we were offering and what we wanted them to offer us. And we wanted a number of trade items to be exempted, and we wanted to offer them the ability to invest in our economy, as well as South African companies to invest in the United States. So that package is still to be fully negotiated. What they want to do now is to deal with the trade issues now that have to do with what they are going to be imposing. And our negotiations with the United States are continuing. And let's be clear, South Africa is not the only country that is dealing with this crisis. And many other countries, some of which are in a much worse situation than we are, others are slightly better off, and all of us are involved in a process of having discussions and negotiations with the United States. And it should also be clear that the United States has come up with a unilateral tariff imposition on many countries in the world. They are a huge economy, the biggest economy in the world. So we've got to respond to the United States tariff proposals. Many of our companies deal with the United States customers. We export vehicles, we export steel and aluminium, we export citrus. So we've got to engage with them and find a way to reach a settlement. So within the window that's still open, we're hoping that we will find a way to settle this matter. So intensive negotiations are now underway.
So this is what the president says, guys. This is what Ramaphosa says. How confident are you, man, on Ramaphosa and his team to actually fix this mess? How confident are you? I want you guys to tell me in the comment sections, how confident are you on Ramaphosa and his people to fix all of these things? I mean, like, some of the reactions, man, have been quite funny. Some of the reactions have been funny, but I'm going to save the last reaction of Ronald Lamola, basically taking the swipe at the DA, man. With everything that these people are going through, they still have time to take swipe at the Democratic Alliance. Unbelievable.
0.5% of our global exports. Thus, we will continue to engage the US with a view to conclude a deal that advances the interests of both countries. South Africa seeks to conclude deals that promote value addition and industrialization, rather than extractive relations that deprive the country of the ability to beneficiate our mineral wealth by mimicking extractive colonial-era trade relations. South Africa's minimal 0.25% share of total US imports makes the 30% tariffs on our country are inscrutable, especially when these same tariffs have been applied indiscriminately to all US trading partners globally. Moreover, South Africa poses no trade threats to the US economy nor its national security. The calculation of US-South Africa trade deficit ignores the substantial US trade surplus in services, as well as the complementary nature of the bilateral trade and investment relations between the two countries. South African exports do not compete with US producers and do not pose a threat to US industry. On the contrary, in the US markets, not replace domestic products. South Africa isn't just a trading partner. We are a major investor in the US, with our companies sustaining American jobs. Similarly, over 600 US companies in South Africa contribute to our industrial growth and create employment. Our goal is to preserve and grow this mutual beneficial relationship. Impact of the tariffs. The uncertainty of the new tariffs is already incorporated into economic projections. For example, various economists estimated that it may shave off 0.2% of South Africa's economic growth. The reduction in growth from the 30% tariffs depends on a number of factors, including our ability to find alternative markets. It should be noted, however, that 85% of South
So, guys, I hear that these people are talking about the alternative markets, but how long is it going to take for the people that used to send their goods to the United States to now send their goods to these alternative markets? How long is it going to take? Is that a process that is going to take time, or does it immediately happen? I need you guys to start teaching me on these things. How is that going to happen? How is it going to happen? Is it a process that is going to take time? Because I think even some of those countries that they are looking at, they also have their own trading partners. So are those people even willing to trade with us? I guess that's the question. How does this process work, guys?
Africa's exports remain exempted from the tariffs. All applicable exemptions published in the previous US executive order are said to remain in force, and these exemptions covers products such as copper, pharmaceuticals, semiconductors, lumber articles, certain critical minerals, stainless steel scrap, and energy products. Importantly, due to South Africa not enjoying a counter exemption for Section 232 duties on steel and aluminium, South African companies have already adjusted to the Section 232 duties since 2018.
So this is the Minister of International Relations, Ronald Lamola. You remember this guy? But again, there's something that he said, man, that people are taking note of. And this is what Ronald Lamola said at the same press conference.
And as Minister Tawe has said, we are not in the sprint or game of political scoring. We have seen the political parties doing cheap political scoring on this matter that involves the lives of our people.
So talking about the mess that the ANC is doing, it is scoring cheap political points. Okay.
And as Minister Tawe has said, we are not in the sprint or game of political scoring. We have seen the political parties doing cheap political scoring on this matter that involves the lives of our people, particularly some of the partners in the GNU, which does undermine this process. Because our view is that when you are dealing with such complex issues, all South Africans should speak in one voice, in the national interest, whether opposition or in the GNU or in government.
But that's the thing, man. Like, it's hard for people to speak in one voice with the ANC. It's hard. You cannot expect South Africans to speak in one voice with the ANC. You cannot expect that. Simply because now the United States will be slapping us with the tariffs. So suddenly we have to rally behind the ANC. No. We don't have to. We don't have to. How can we speak in one voice with the people that are responsible for the mess that is happening right now? Over 30,000 people now potentially are going to lose their jobs. And we must continue to speak in one voice with the people that have made the decisions that have led to that. I don't think it makes any sense at all.
GNU or in government or outside government or NGO or in business, we must all speak in one voice to promote the national interests of South Africa. Because if there are any implications, all South Africans will be impacted. So we all have a responsibility and a duty to protect and promote the national interests of the country.
So guys, you know the ANC have this thing that when things are bad, it is our collective responsibility. All of us must come together and hold hands and hug with each other. This is what we must do according to the ANC. But if there's a win, the same people will go out and tell you that this thing, if it wasn't for the African National Congress, then it wouldn't be. So when things are bad, it is our collective responsibility. When things are Nice. No, it is the ANC. It's the ANC. You cannot expect South Africans to speak in one voice with you, man. You cannot. And focusing on other political parties when you guys have such a mess to fix, it is just a waste of time. It is a waste of time. I wouldn't advise anybody in the government right now to focus on what political parties, podcasters, and the news are saying. You guys have your work cut out for you. So I think you are just wasting time when you are trying to deflect and still trying to play politics. You are accusing these people of playing politics at the expense of the life of the people, but you are in the government and you are also playing politics at the expense of the life of the people. Absolute nonsense, guys. Absolute nonsense. So, guys, my question stands. Are you confident in Ramaphosa administration to actually convince Donald Trump to reverse these tariffs? I don't know. Please tell me what you think in the comment section. Don't forget to hit that like button and the most important part, subscribe. My name is Thomas Mabaso. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.